A vet was walking home after a long shift when a starving, limping dog began trailing him. He thought it was just a stray, skinny, weak, with desperate eyes. But when the neglected dog refused to leave his side, the vet followed. What he discovered moments later shattered his heart, bringing him to his knees in tears. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. Dr. Ryan locked the clinic doors with a sigh, his shoulders heavy from a day filled with emergencies, surgeries, and endless cries for help. His hands smelled faintly of antiseptic, his scrubs stained with reminders of battles won and lost. All he wanted was the quiet walk home and a few hours of rest. But halfway down the empty road, he felt it, the strange sensation of being watched. Glancing back, he saw a dog trailing behind him. Its coat was matted, tangled with dirt and weeds, its ribs jutting sharply beneath thinning fur. The animal limped, yet its eyes stayed fixed on him with unwavering determination. Ryan slowed, expecting the dog to shy away. Instead, it stopped when he stopped, moved when he moved, shadowing his every step. Something in its tired eyes struck him deeply. This wasn't a random stray. This dog was following him for a reason. Ryan stopped in his tracks, turning, fully to face the ragged dog. "Go on," he said softly, waving his hand toward the fields. The animal only stood still, panting heavily, its chest rising and falling with effort. When Ryan took a step forward, the dog limped after him, closing the gap with quiet persistence. He tried again, quickening his pace. The sound of nails scraping against the asphalt followed him. The dog's breathing was uneven, but it never broke eye contact. It was as if its entire soul was poured into that gaze, a silent plea Ryan couldn't ignore. "Why are you following me?" he murmured, his voice breaking with exhaustion. The dog only lowered its head, ears drooping. Yet its paws kept moving. Not once did it turn away. Cars passed occasionally, their headlights flashing across the lonely road. Each time, Ryan worried the limping creature might get struck, but it always stayed just close enough to him, as though trusting him. For protection, by the time he reached the crossroads, Ryan realized something undeniable. This dog wasn't lost, nor was it simply hungry. It was chasing him with purpose, clinging to him as if he were its only hope. Ryan slowed his steps until he finally stopped. He crouched down on the edge of the road, lowering himself to the dog's level. The animal hesitated, ears flicking back, its tail tucked nervously beneath its legs. Still, those pleading eyes never wavered. With careful hands, Ryan reached into his satchel and pulled out a small bottle of water. Unscrewing the cap, he poured some into his palm and held it out. The dog sniffed cautiously, then lapped at the water desperately, its tongue rough and frantic. Ryan's chest tightened as he watched. This wasn't just thirst, it was survival. He broke off a piece of a granola bar he carried and offered it. The dog chewed slowly, almost as if every bite required strength it no longer had. But then something strange happened. Instead of curling up by his side for more food, the dog whimpered and nudged against his knee, stepping back a few paces. It barked once, then looked over its shoulder toward the fields. Ryan frowned, puzzled. The dog wasn't asking for rescue, it was begging him to follow. Something in that whimper told Ryan this was only the beginning. The dog barked again, weaker this time, then limped toward the open fields. After a few paces, it stopped, glancing back to be sure Ryan was watching. Its eyes, dark and urgent, pleaded louder than any words could. Ryan hesitated, exhaustion gnawing at him. He had just finished a grueling shift, yet something inside whispered that turning away wasn't an option. With a sigh, he stood and followed. The dog's pace was uneven, its limp more pronounced now, but determination fueled every step. They moved off the main road and onto a narrow dirt path, the kind that seemed forgotten by everyone except the wind. Ryan's shoes crunched against the gravel, his breath forming pale clouds in the night air. He kept expecting the dog to stop at some hidden shelter or food source. But each time he slowed, the dog barked faintly, urging him forward. The farther they went, the heavier the air felt, a strange mix of dread and anticipation pressing down. Something was waiting at the end of this path, something the dog desperately needed him to see. The dog led Ryan to a rundown shed at the edge of the field, its wooden panels rotting, roof sagging under years of neglect. The animal whimpered, pawing at the door before collapsing against it, too weak to push any farther. Ryan's pulse quickened as he stepped closer, his hand trembling on the rusty handle. The door creaked open, releasing a stale, suffocating smell of mold and decay. At first, the dim light revealed nothing but broken crates and old tools scattered across the floor. But then, from the corner, came the faintest sound, a whimper so fragile it nearly blended with the wind. Ryan froze, his eyes adjusted, and there they were, 3 tiny puppies huddled together, their fur dirty and matted, their ribs showing through thin skin. They were barely moving, their breath shallow. The sight struck Ryan like a dagger to the chest. The neglected dog hadn't been following for food or safety. It had been begging him to save its family. Kneeling down, Ryan's throat tightened. "Oh my God," he whispered, blinking back the sting in his eyes. The weight of the truth hit him. This dog had carried its suffering alone, just to lead someone here. Ryan's instincts as a vet took over instantly. He shrugged off his coat and spread it on the floor, carefully lifting the fragile puppies one by one onto the fabric. Their tiny bodies were icy to the touch, their eyes dull with exhaustion. The mother dog whimpered softly, nudging them as if to remind Ryan what was at stake. "Hang in there," he whispered, pulling his stethoscope from his bag. Their heartbeats were faint, dangerously slow. He rubbed their chests gently, trying to stimulate warmth, then wrapped them in his coat. With quick movements, he scavenged through his satchel, saline solution, syringes, a portable heating pad he used for emergencies. Not much, but enough to try. Working in the dim light of the shed, Ryan injected fluids, massaged tiny limbs, and whispered constant encouragements. The mother dog hovered anxiously, licking their faces, refusing to leave them. Minutes stretched into eternity. Then, one of the puppies let out a weak cry. Another twitched, stretching its paw. Relief surged through Ryan, tears blurring his vision. He wasn't sure if all of them would make it, but at least for now, there was a spark of life, and he wasn't going to let it die. Ryan sank to the floor, his hands trembling as he held one of the fragile pups against his chest. The little body was warming slowly, breaths evening out, but the fight wasn't over. He glanced at the mother dog, her fur ragged, her body thin from hunger, yet her eyes never left her babies. She had endured everything, not for herself, but for them. The weight of it hit Ryan like a flood. This dog hadn't followed him because she wanted saving. She had dragged her broken body mile after mile because she wanted her children saved first. The realization pierced him deeply, cracking open the wall he had built from years of long shifts and heartbreak at the clinic. Tears blurred his vision as he buried his face into the puppy's fur. "You're braver than any human I've ever met," he whispered hoarsely, his voice breaking. The mother pressed her muzzle into his hand as if to say thank you, and Ryan couldn't stop the sob that tore from his chest. By dawn, the puppies were stable, nestled together beneath warm blankets at the clinic. The mother dog lay beside them, finally at peace, her eyes closing with relief. Ryan watched quietly, exhaustion etched across his face, but his heart felt lighter than it had in years. He made a decision then and there. None of them would ever suffer neglect again. He would foster them himself, give them food, warmth, and love. As he stroked the mother's head, she wagged her tail faintly, trust shining in her tired eyes. For Ryan, this was no rescue, it was destiny.